All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PT on Ice Daily Show. My name is Christina Previtt. I am one of two lead faculty within our clinical management of the fitness, athlete, pregnancy, and postpartum division. I am currently in Orlando, Florida, because I also teach with modern management of the older adult, and we just had an amazing course out here in Orlando. I'm going to apologize a little bit for the early time on the podcast. We are going to Disney, and I have a very excited toddler. And so dad is taking her out for a walk to see some of the wild peacocks. But I only got this little brief window to jump on here, and I wanted to make sure that we talked about all things core training in pregnancy. Before I do that, our next cohort for our 8-week online course, Clinical Management of the Fitness, Athlete, Pregnancy, and Postpartum, is coming up the beginning of July 7th, I believe. So if you're interested in learning about all things, including core training in pregnancy, feel free to jump into that course. We are also going to be talking with Rachel Thibodeau tomorrow for our completely free case study. She was 13 weeks pregnant competing at the MAC, the Mid-Atlantic CrossFit Challenge semifinal a couple of weeks ago. And so we are so excited to deep dive with her about her experiences as being a pregnant athlete at a really high level CrossFit event. So super exciting. I can't wait to talk to her. All right, so over the last couple of months, as a faculty, we've been really starting to challenge some of our biases and beliefs and try and figure out where some of our biases and beliefs came from and if they're justified with respect to core training in pregnancy. So when it comes to a recreational exerciser or someone who's a competitive athlete, there are two things that get ingrained from a fear perspective when it comes to pregnancy. That is, I'm going to permanently damage my pelvic floor and I'm going to ruin my abs with diastasis recti. I do not want to have diastasis recti. And oftentimes the downstream part of that is that people are like, well, I don't want to put too much stress on my abs. My abs are already stressed out. I'm going to remove a lot of, if not all, core work to make sure that I keep my body safe, that I try and avoid having diastasis postpartum. So I'm going to get rid of everything. And we did that for a long time. And this ended up being like sweeping statements to remove planks. I've seen stuff that sit-ups are bad forever. Once you've become a pregnant person into your postpartum journey, that sit-ups are not good for you. You should never do sit-ups anymore. And that didn't really make sense to me. And so some of our thought process with this and why we've started, so our theory was we should be, hi Zach, we should be pushing core training more during pregnancy, not less. And we're going to change the way that we do that, but avoiding core training altogether doesn't really make sense. And the main reason why we believe that this is true is, in what circumstance would you want to decondition a muscle group for 9 months and us think that we are going to have better outcomes? In what area in healthcare do we say, I want to be weaker because that will make it easier for me to handle this big stress or challenge that I am putting onto my body? And when you spin it like that, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. And so when we start thinking about it like that, we are having a muscle that is elongating. It is not splitting. It is not tearing. We are not thinking that things are permanently being deranged, right? The spreading of the linea alba is a very, very beautiful physiological mechanism that the female body has developed in order for our bodies to make room for a growing fetus. It is a normal, natural, beautiful physiological process. But it does not happen overnight, right? And when we're thinking about that, it means that as the orientation of those muscular fibers change, as the stretch continues to happen throughout a person's pregnancy, we are going to be able to increase strength and support of that muscle group to its current change in function or status. And so the way that we can do that is from a variety of different exercises that I'm going to talk about later on. So what as a faculty we have started to do is really start getting after it with respect to core training during pregnancy. And we're kind of doing our own like case study series of before and afters when it comes to our training. And so our first guinea pigs were ourselves. You knew that 2 out of 4 of our faculty, myself and Ellison, have just had our second kiddos. And we really pushed core training and we had really good outcomes. And then we started doing that with our athletes. So we started allowing more core training, giving parameters around core training during pregnancy. And so far, we've seen really good outcomes with respect to how quickly our athletes are regaining strength and function postpartum, right? Because what we know in the literature is that, one, we have no evidence to support that doing exercise during pregnancy, specifically core training, is a risk factor for diastasis postpartum. We do not have that evidence. That's number one. Number two, what we do have evidence for is that for a lot of individuals who continue to have resting diastasis, the postpartum parameters that continue to be significant relate to weakness. So an increase in fatigability of the muscles around the trunk, a reduction in strength of the rectus and the abdominal wall, a decrease in strength of even some of our core canisters, so looking into our low back, does not lead to pain. We do not have evidence that diastasis recti contributes to pain or incontinence, but we have evidence that persistent diastasis postpartum relates to weakness. So contributing to that weakness by spreading the message that we should not be doing core training during pregnancy is doing the opposite of what we want, when we know that people who have diastasis postpartum are weaker than those that do not. And then thirdly, when it comes to resting tone, we get a lot of females that come to us who feel like they still look pregnant. They have that, I hate the word mom pooch, but that's what they use. And they're wanting to fix this. When we know what the statement that we can make as clinicians is that we will get you stronger. We can make you more functional. We can make you feel like there's support across your abdominal wall, that it's easier for you to do day-to-day tasks. It's easier for you to return to exercise. We don't have the evidence that we are going to be able to change resting tone. A lot of the risk factors for persistent diastasis are related to things that are genetic in nature. For example, individuals who are on more of the hypermobility side of things, anthropometrics of the individual and the size of your little one, and things around conditions such as Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a ligamentous laxity chronic condition that is genetic in nature, that is going to increase your chance of having more of that spreading because of the way that your collagen fibers are made up, or the composition of your collagen fibers in those types of conditions. So the thing that drives me crazy is, one, we remove core training during pregnancy, and then two, we get marketed for all of these like fix your diastasis programs that they try and strengthen your core, great, but they're making claims that we really can't make, and oftentimes are extremely predatory. And the messaging around these scare tactics for core, like removing core training during pregnancy, is another way that we're scaring our pregnant people. And we have to think, like, is that helpful? So there's kind of like that theoretical side about why, as a faculty, we've really been pushing the other way and not being completely reckless and saying that our 36-week pregnant individual is going to be doing toes to bar. But I'm going to be putting core training into their programs probably 2 to 3 times per week, and what that's going to look like. So the first kind of caveat around core training during pregnancy, number one, is that we cannot make sweeping statements around good exercises and bad exercises. We have poorly executed exercises and not poorly executed exercises, and we have body readiness for certain exercises, and we have body readiness to remove certain exercises. And currently, and this might change, our thoughts around, when is a person's body kind of ready to start pushing back or pulling back on the intensity of some of their core exercises or the exercise that we're choosing, is oftentimes that doming or coning across the linea alba. This is going to happen. My messaging is in exercise. If you are having a bit of that kind of protrusion, that dome across that six-pack line, it might just be showing that your body right now isn't ready for the exercise that we are doing, and we're just going to modify it or scale it in some way. The first way, if I'm starting to see that happen across the midline of my pregnant athlete or my pregnant client, we're going to coach that movement first. Instead of freaking out and saying, oh, body's not ready, bring this back, we're going to start looking at how they're bracing. Are they able to do that TA contraction? The fun thing when you have a pregnant athlete is the cue to hug the baby works beautifully to bring that TA, that deep core wall, into that activation and get them to have good force transfer across their midline. So the first thing we're going to do is kind of try a couple of different repetitions of it, see how they're doing. And then if with that cueing, they're doing really well still, that's wonderful, right? I've had athletes who can continue to do sit-ups into their third trimester, and they're doing it extremely well. So we're going to, before we kind of trigger back, doming or coning is usually that signal, but we're going to coach this movement first and see, can we change that movement pattern? Okay, what if we can't? Great, we are going to scale it. As clinicians, we are movement experts and we are masters of scale. We should be able to move that back and forth. So the last thing I'm going to kind of finish off with is some of my favorite exercises to do for individuals who are pregnant. So the first one is, I love keeping planks and push-ups in their program for as long as possible. They're going to start on their toes on their toes with the plank, then onto their knees, and then we're going to prop them up, elevate them onto a surface. The same is true with side planks. Start on toes, go down to knees, and then prop them up onto a bench as they progress through their pregnancy or as their body is showing signs that it's a little bit too much for them. Love it. Isometric work is so great. Number 2, eccentric sit-ups, right? Can really start to get that good brace and slowly lower their body down towards the mat. And as they start becoming not ready, you can prop them up onto bolsters, ab mats, or other types of, even to a wall, get them from sitting and get them to lean back into the wall based on the range of motion that their body can still show control. So planks and side planks, eccentric sit-ups. And then my third one is a lot of the the oblique exercises. So Pallof press in a mini squat and in a jerk stance. So you're getting a bit of asymmetrical loading, and side bends are my third go-to core exercise that I really love working on with pregnant athletes. My brain is switching between MMOA and PPP. And then fourth, I love the bird dog row. You're getting into a bird dog position. So you're on a bench or on the ground. One leg is out behind you and you're having a weight in your hand and you're doing a dumbbell row with your upper extremity. So there's a lot of instability that you're fighting with your core wall, and is a great exercise that, again, you can be putting in till, right before baby is coming and you deliver. So planks, side planks, sit up eccentrics, Palloff presses and side bends, and bird dog rows are my 4 go-to core exercises that many athletes can continue to do well into their 3rd trimester, and you can have them continue to feel strong and supported through their core wall all the way up until delivery. All right, I hope you found that helpful. Let me know if you have any other go-to core exercises that you really love putting into your pregnant programs. We're going to start to change this narrative around fear and rather do it around movement quality. And we're going to keep that core wall strong. We're going to help our athletes get back to core exercises postpartum. And we're not going to have any safe or unsafe exercises. We're just going to look at how we are executing them and body readiness for some exercises versus others. All right. Wish me luck at Disney with a toddler and a 9-month-old. I am so excited. Maybe that's silly of me. If you're looking for our PPP link, it's in the ICE student group, or send us a DM. We'll send you the Zoom link to talk to Rachel tomorrow. If you're looking to catch us live, we're in Atlanta next week. So excited to be doing pregnancy postpartum live next week. We have a course coming up in Utah in July, and we just added a Concord, North Carolina course in November. So if you're in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, we're going to come to you. Thank you so much. I'm going to try to have so much fun at Disney. It is already hot here, so we are lathering up sunscreen and we're going to get after it. All right. Have a great day, everyone, and we'll talk to you soon.